Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Briefcase The Barn, episode 93. In today's episode, we start with talking about Ben Sasse and his terminal diagnosis and the biggest regrets he has. We then move on to a mailbag question on wayward kids, bad and false appraisals, dairy farming or beef farming. We talk briefly about Russia and Ukraine war, and then women's makeup. That was all Gary, guys. And then end with running for political office. Hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. Welcome back, guys. Episode 93. Gary, is his Freedom Session shirt on for the grad tonight?
Yeah.
One of two? Next week, grad too, right?
Yeah.
They're always good.
Yeah. My favorite thing. One of my favorite things in my whole life.
You happy it's done too, though? Because it's this long slog, 28
Happy
weeks.
for my family. Happy for my wife and kids.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
It's not going to get swapped out for another event?
No, it doesn't. No. And actually, this week's really bad because this week I'm gone 3 nights in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night.
Okay.
Gone Friday night's Julius's stag.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right. Don't forget, right? And the last night was a school board meeting. So then it's like, man, 3 nights in a row is just it's too much. Not healthy. But I've been doing way better the last months. I went through seasons where I'd be gone 4 nights a week, every single week.
What time are you usually out of the house? 7:30?
Well, too early. That's the problem. Like I basically can leave. It's not a big deal if I go out at night. If I leave at 8 or 8:30 for 2 or 3 hours, but it's just it's the bedtime thing, right? It's the 4:30 to 7:30 time slot that I need to be at home.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
Up and down. Up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like that or not?
Do I like it? No.
Oh, I love it, man. I always find that the lower the valleys, the higher the mountaintops. Sometimes I'm like a space astronaut, right?
Yeah.
Outer space.
No. Yeah, up and down.
Okay.
Today's good, though.
Okay. Yeah, I've had a crazy morning, just completely unhinged.
On what, sales side or?
Every side. Like, I was looking at a property with somebody and just, on Highway 1. It's a pretty interesting property.
Any feedback on the podcast with Heather?
0.
Same here. I
Crickets.
texted her this morning too, and she said she hadn't heard much. She said it's because it's crazy in Victoria right now with it's falling apart, I guess, with Drippa and what's his name, BB, and so.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling.
Yeah,
it's imploding. The everything's imploding on him. Well, he sent out a statement. It was just pathetic.
You cannot serve God and money, otherwise you will despise the one or love the other, as the Bible says. You know,
Okay.
And it's like him. Not, of course, those two subjects, but trying to keep
Completely.
both sides happy.
Yeah, you cannot.
You can't.
You just got to pick. You got to pick.
That's right.
Yeah.
Commit.
Yeah. And I think that you could probably pick one side of the issue, which would be the right side, to say that our property rights are enshrined. That, we actually we do have, when you have fee simple title on a property in BC, that, some arbitrary group can't come and take it simply because of something that happened 100 or 200 years ago. Like, I think most people would agree that's common sense. And the fact that he can't say that out loud is very problematic for our province. And so that's basically what's happened. And so now he said, we're going to work together to be, it's solution oriented. I'm like, well,
co-govern.
Like, what are you smoking, buddy?
It must be good stuff.
It must be. Yeah.
Or not at all.
Or not. But yeah. And then the tractor side's been busy.
Good. So lots of
got 0-turn lawnmowers showed up today, I think.
Oh, you're another line of equipment.
Yeah.
What
Skag.
brand? Skag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't have to be behind a push lawnmower. And
I still use my reel mower, like no engine at all. It'll like.
Okay, we do sell push mowers too. Actually, they have push mowers. We have a couple of them, but they're commercial. They're pretty expensive. They're definitely not going to compare with I'm assuming you can buy a very cheap lawnmower, Canadian Tire. These things are probably like the push lawnmowers, heavy duty and like very heavy, and probably sells for, I don't know, $2,500-$2,700 or something.
Oh, wow.
Is that a lot for a push lawnmower? I think that's quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's definitely commercial. I sure hope it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Should drive itself for that money, most people would think.
Yeah.
So, well, that'll be good. It's a bit late in the season, but often what happens, I think, in the lawnmower business, or this is what we were told by the distributor, it's like people will get their old clunker out, right, and it'll be blowing smoke, and they'll try use it a few times in April, May, and then by this point now, or end of April, they'll be like, why don't I go trade it in and make the guys at Rose?
Well, if you want me to test them out in my place for a while, let me know.
Get your golf course in shape. So, yeah. Are you coming to the Freedom Session, Grad?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And Julius Stag. You're planning it. What are you going to do? Plan a big rager or what?
Yeah, it'll be a rager. All the feedback so far is this sounds like the most boring stag that I've ever heard in my life. Like I've only ever been on one stag, my own.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
No way.
Yeah. I think so.
You haven't been invited in lots of other people's stags?
I've been in 2 other wedding parties that come out, 3 other wedding parties, and I don't remember ever going on a stag.
Okay.
Now the guys that they probably don't listen to this podcast, but it'd be interesting to know if I don't remember. Mine, we went like.
Well, that's probably why they were stags.
No, because
little.
I drank very briefly, right? I had a 6-month drinking career, so
that's
unless those stags happen exactly in that time, which is possible. But I had we went go-karting for mine out in Delta, which I think they shut that track down. Unfortunately, it was an awesome outdoor track. It's where Tawasin Mall is now. Yeah. So I went there, and then we went to some comedy club, which was pretty horrible. The comedy, like. Unless it's Christian comedy, it's horrible, right? Like,
what's Christian comedy? Just
clean comedy. Sorry, I forget the Christian. Like, guys like Nate Bergazzi and even Jim Gaffigan, like they're pretty decent, right? Did you have a bunch of show notes today? Did you have
I do have show notes, but I'm just like
you're listening to me
where
ramble?
you're going.
Well, I have all kinds of things I can talk about.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Well, no, let's go to the show notes. I'll circle back to my comments.
Okay, do you know who Ben Sasse is?
No.
So he's a former U.S. Senator from Nebraska. He served from 2015 to 2023, and he was the president of...
You always talk about U.S. stuff, eh? You're very much inclined to... That was one of the feedback I got about Heather, was that you are... you don't really care much about BC politics.
No, the local politics I struggle to follow.
Yeah, okay. So that was an accurate summation.
It is, yeah. I don't really know who to follow as well, like what news organizations to follow, because like...
I told you, the National Post.
For local politics, for like BC, because I will go there for Canadian federal politics. I go to National Post in Canada, but for like actually BC politics, I don't know who to follow, because I'm not going to follow like CTV or Global or those guys, because like half the stuff they're spouting is
Rebel News.
Really?
Yeah,
that's where you'll go for local.
I don't ever go to Rebel News.
So where do you get your BC politics political news?
Just social media. I'd be reading it on Twitter. I'd be following MLAs from all stripes. I mean, yeah, just.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter, but
okay.
No, I'm on Twitter, but I don't have it.
You're a better person for it.
Someone else posts for me. So,
okay.
Anyways, former U.S. Senator, so Ben
Sasse.
Sasse.
Yeah.
He was Harvard undergrad, Yale PhD. He wrote a book called "Vanquishing American Adult," basically a diagnosis of why grown men aren't growing up. But it's a serious Christian, and was known as a principled conservative who wouldn't toe the party line, and he got censured by his own state party for criticizing Trump. But in December of 2025, so this past December, he got announced he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and he's with a few months left to live. So I think he's like 54 or 56 something. Anyways, but he's been doing a bunch of interviews recently, and when you read this guy's stuff, like just a smart, really smart guy, very principled. I really respect him, and I would say an actual Christian. That's in politics. It was for a while, anyways. And so but he's been doing a bunch of interviews now that he's got this diagnosis that he's dying. And so he did a recent one entitled "How Ben Sasse is Living Now That He's Dying." Interesting times with Ross Donhat, whatever.
Dutch guy.
No, he's I don't know, New York Times. I can't remember. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, but he gets asked what his biggest regrets are in his life. And he mentions 3 things. Guess what he mentioned? I was pretty surprised by his first one, but guess what he mentions his biggest regrets are?
Being gone from home.
Yeah.
Is that one of them?
Yeah, it was one of them, yeah.
Okay. Maybe probably not being more vocal about his faith.
No.
Okay.
So he
said he worked harder and made more money.
Not taking Sabbaths.
Okay, not Sabbathing. Okay.
Like, so he said, like, after church on Sundays, he'd go back to work in the afternoons. Okay. He'd work, he'd be on his phone again and stuff like that. And he didn't actually take the time.
Take a break.
Yeah. Didn't take the break, didn't spend the time with his family. Not being home for dinner. Was another one. He goes, I should like the dinner. He goes, you have to protect it with everything you have. And actually reminds me of, I think it's a quote from Spurgeon. There's nothing that Satan hates more than seeing a family around a dinner table. Yeah. The whole family. And then nights away from home. He said that he goes, the difference between 7 nights away from home a month versus 9 is a huge difference. Between 7 to 5, it makes a huge difference. Yeah. And so he was a senator. So he was gone a lot, but it's an awesome.
I feel bad for those people.
that in politics.
Yeah, that have to be gone and living
Yeah.
in Ottawa. Even our local politician, or even Heather, who's like,
Yes.
you know, I love it that she said to the dollar pretty much how much money she was making. Right? It's like, you make 119 grand a year, and you're spending like, I mean, they're not there that much in the grand scheme of the year. Most people think
How
they're
many
only
weeks a year?
working when they're there. I don't want to say the wrong number, but it's very few.
Okay.
Like it's getting less and less in my lifetime for sure. Like,
Okay.
you know, they used to sit way more in Parliament and hash it out. I think that they realized that there's a lot of value being back at home with their constituents. But
that would be a big thing to keep me from ever running if I was away from my family that much. Like, especially if you're like,
it'd be the main reason I wouldn't run. It'd be almost the only reason.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to be living 4 nights a week or 3 nights a week? And
yeah. But yeah, anyway, I thought super good interview to hear a guy as successful and well known as he is at 56, pretty young.
Is he for sure going to die?
Like by all accounts, yes.
Okay, barring divine intervention.
Yes. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And he's just go and just the hope he talks about in dying and how he communicates it to his kids. He's a 14-year-old son. And,
he's got young kids.
Yeah, and
that's really tough.
Two daughters in their 20s, I think, or 18 and 20 or something. And just the hope he talks about, and he talks about just the state of politics and stuff like that, and in the face of death. And I mean, death gives you clarity, right? So. It's super good, but I appreciated what he said, and especially just like what he regrets. So that was good. I'll put the link in the description. I'll put it on the screen as well, so you guys can look it up if you guys want to watch that. So. Hey guys, quick interruption here on the podcast, just to talk about my coaching. If you're a dad or a guy who feels like you're crushing it at work, things are going well, but you feel like you're a failure at home as a father, as a husband, or even as a Christian, that's exactly who I coach. That's very much my own story. I can relate to it a lot, and I've helped a lot of different guys to stop white knuckling it and to actually start showing up at home and in the rest of your life with integrity, and to stop feeling like a failure in those areas. And so if you're interested in that, there's a link in the description below that you can check out, and we'll have a call. And I can see how I can help you. No pitch, just an honest chat. Check that out. And otherwise, let's get back into the podcast. Okay, you got a mailbag question, unless you want to jump in with one of your ideas that you said you're ready for.
No.
Okay. Well,
I got all my talking out of the way early on. I'm totally ready just to listen to you ramble now.
No way. You're going to interrupt me. Mailbag. Wayward kids are a real struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Teaching them about faith seems to have no effect. It seems pointless. It seems to have no effect. And if they are not chosen, it does not matter anyways. How is it possible to find rest in the Lord when it comes to the welfare of my children? What would you say to that?
Well, it's really interesting. I'm going to find the book here. 1 second.
My first thought was when I read this was like when you talk about teaching your kids has no effect. What does teaching mean? Because if it's just teaching them like, hey, make sure you go to church, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, that's just telling him like certain things to go do. Yeah. But the best teaching is modeling. And so if you're modeling yourself having being peaceful, having the fruits of the Spirit, like that you're,
Can you read it one more time? The question.
Sure. I'll finish this thought.
Sorry.
When you actually see that like your parents are calm in super stressful situations, or graceful when they're supposed to be angry, or whatever XYZ, that is the most powerful form of teaching. But also when you can put your trust in God that He's fully in control of all things, then you can also let your kids go more in terms of what they're doing or not doing. And because that anxiousness that you're always worrying about it and stuff like that will also push them away. And when you're trying to be over controlling and what they're doing or not doing, X, Y, Z. So I think that's really important. But the question is, wayward kids are a real struggle. Teaching them about faith seems to have no effect. It seems pointless. It seems to have no effect. And if they are not chosen, it does not matter anyways.
Oh, wow.
How is it even possible to find rest in the Lord when it comes to the welfare of my children?
Well, whose children are they? That would be my first question to the person that asked the question. Whose child are they? They're not your children. Like people, they're the Lord's children, right? And they've been entrusted to us. My wife asked me to read this book. I started reading it. I haven't got that far into it, but this would be a great book for, I think, anybody to read. It's called Childproof, Parenting by Faith, Not by Formula. It's by Julie Lowe. Marie said that once I'm done reading it, I'll want to buy it for everybody, which is often how I get when I've read a great book. So I will finish reading it, and then maybe we'll give some out. But for those, I know that quite a few people listen to this, and periodically we'll recommend a book and people read it and find it helpful. So I think this would be, this lady is definitely qualified to comment. And And I have these discussions all the time from a perspective of an adoptive parent, but I look at my own life. And I mean, I think I mentioned it in the show notes actually, because I did see that question. It's been sitting there for a while. And I said, oh, somebody should talk to my mom, right? Talk to Judy Baars about what it was like parenting a wayward child. And from my parents were obviously trying to teach us the right things. We were taught the right things. We went to a good school, went to a good church. We were like, you can be taught all the right things, but like, yeah, if you have a heart of stone, you're done, right? And I can remember being very crass in the sense of, that's why I struggle with hyper Calvinistic teaching, like the teaching of like the chosen terms, like those two types of terms. Because for somebody that wants to just reject the Lord, and somebody like me that had a hard heart and just wanted to, basically live for myself and selfishness and sin and pleasure. It was an excuse. And of course we were taught in one hand that it was never excuse, but when you teach something else that is basically an excuse all the time, that sounds as an excuse to someone who is looking for an excuse. Yeah. I don't feel like that's that helpful. And so I feel like, I think people just need to be hammered on their responsibility and the weight of their sin, and that the Lord wants them to repent, because that's what the Bible says. Then, I don't think you need to spend as much time talking about who's chosen or who's not. I feel like, my experience was that my parents prayed a lot. I knew that they prayed for me, especially as I became a young adult, because then at that point, it's different when a child's younger, because when your kids are young, you can stiff arm them into doing a lot of the right things for a very long time. And I see it even with people now. I'm watching people parent their young adult children just literally by guilt and by manipulation and by, oh, you're going to come to church with me, you're going to do this. And like, obviously you want your kids to do the right thing, but most people would agree they really want their child's heart to be transformed. Yeah. Right? Like a Christian parent would say that. Now, ironically, a lot of non-Christian parents, unbelieving parents, are forcing their kids to do a lot of things. And that's actually that's actually very detrimental. And I don't think people realize that, right? I think that you best figure out your own heart. Not that you can't teach your kids to do the right thing if you're still going to, even if you're not a Christian. But very quickly, God and religion get mixed up. Yes. And then people get a very young person, or for me, will get a very warped view of who God is based on how people teach religion, right? Yes. Because they're very different things. Yes. And that's, I think, the idea of rules and regulations and the law. When you're reading the Bible now, when you read it as a Christian, you have such a unique perspective of like, obviously your heart's changed. So then you want to follow the law, or at least some of the time, not on your own will, you can't, but you know what I mean? Like you get into the spot where you feel the weight of your sin and God does the work. And so I feel like parents should just be literally your main priority. And for me, I've said it before on here, my goal is that my kids' hearts would be transformed, and God's going to do that. And obviously you said it really well. Like, are you modeling what that looks like? And it's very difficult to do. Yeah. And so those are the discussions I've had lately with other adoptive parents, where we just feel like the behavior's unhinged. You even have a different set of criteria again than somebody might for their biological children. But but the book's title nails it. Like, there are parents that formula-based parenting, and they feel very let down that their children go wayward. And I think if you read scripture and you see, I always look at the Israelites, I'm just slowly plunging along through the Old Testament here, and you see that, you know what I mean? They had Moses speaking directly to them, and then they had Joshua speaking directly to them, and they made promises, and they, like, that's just us and today. Yeah. That's us today. We're just the Israelites, right?
And if it's, God says, if it's the kindness of God that leads us to repentance, then it's not going to be a parent's heavy hand on his child that's going to cause them to turn around.
It's not.
It also reminds me of St. Augustine of Hippo, and he lived a super wayward life before converting, I think in his 30s, and he had a really devout mother. Yeah. And she got actually told by the bishop at the time, which would have been their pastor, it is impossible for the son of so many tears to perish. I think in somewhere else it says her prayers. Like, she just constantly prayed for her son. And then in his 30s, he ended up turning and becoming one of the most influential Christians in history. And so I think we also underestimate the power of prayer. Like, we talk too much to others and in our heads, stuff like that. Literally, it's like time on your knees. There's that verse that says, you don't receive because you don't ask. Right, like actually asking for help.
I feel like in our culture too, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I've struggled with this personally, and I see it with other people, and I've been embarrassed at times. Like, we're just so pragmatic that we just like, I prayed about really, really weird small things in the last 10 years, and they've come, like, God's answered my prayers. It's been like, I'm like, wow. But we don't typically live that way. you know, we think of big things, we think of health crisis or somebody's sick. So those are the areas where I feel like people would be like, hey, I need to really trust God. And then the little things, maybe not as much. But I'm a big believer in saving a relationship at all costs. And I have a lot of respect for parents that, especially with adult children, I feel like, but even kids, like do you want a dialogue? Do you want to, like, ultimately you need to save a relationship. Now you're going to speak truth and you're going to have moments of uncomfortableness, obviously, especially with somebody that's really wayward. And at some point you need to have tough love. And I think wisdom is just knowing when to do all those things. And that's not just for kids. So I see it a lot in relationships in general with people. And I think my posture would be, to an unbeliever, you would show more grace. And to somebody that's professing a Christian is when you would start to have hard conversations, and you could say, hey, like, you know, you're saying one thing with your mouth. This is not lining up. Like, why is that? Where's the rub? What's wrong? And those are hard to have. And I think often I think we can be where we're super heavy handed with those that are not Christians, because it's just so blatantly obvious with some of the behavior. It's like, hey, this is just such wayward activity. Yeah. But I would look at it where, like, hey, if somebody's not professing their faith, you would expect some pretty bizarre periodically. Makes sense. And then you would think, hey, if somebody's going around saying that they're a Christian, like, hey, where's the fruit, right? Yeah. And so, but there again, and this is an area I struggled with even in Freedom Session, just walking alongside people, and I've seen it in my own life, and I think I've been pretty honest about it. In my early 20s, like, my life was not sanctified. It was really awful. There was 1,000 things that you could have looked at where it's like, you're not a Christian, man. Like, but God was very gracious. And so I'm trying to remember that in my walk with others, where it's like, hey, would be pretty gracious.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And talk to other people, parents that, like, I don't know who sent the question in, obviously, because they're anonymous, but I just think, are you dialoguing with other people? Are you looking at other people that have that? You look at their family and be like, hey, they seem to have, well, first of all, once you talk to the family that you think has it all together, you realize they don't either. Yeah. So that'll be refreshing and encouraging. And then obviously we can all learn from each other. And I feel like there's so much shame. I had somebody last night at a meeting talking to me about their experience, and we were just honest about what happened in our house. And you could just tell the relief of, like, okay, we're not alone. Yeah. And people don't do that.
And often it's the guilt of the person that's wanting the other person to change that's driving them to put the pressure on, because it's a reflection, like, especially as a parent, you can feel like how the kid's acting out is a reflection of you.
Oh, I feel like it's just, and or you're embarrassed for your kid even. You're just like, man, do you not realize how whacked you look?
Yeah, you gotta let it go.
Then somebody says, Gary, grab the mirror.
What else you got?
I could talk about, I could circle back to a business deal that I had alluded to about my Surrey deal. It's very interesting.
Okay, go ahead.
The plot thickens.
Surrey deal. I have no context.
Well, no context. Oh man. Now my Siri on my phone's acting up. The
Surrey, not Siri.
Yeah. I talked about those guys that lent the money on the property in Surrey, and it appraised at 5.1, and it got an accepted offer to go to court at 855.
Okay.
And, like, now I heard from a friend of mine, it's like, hey, there's basically everything comes down to appraisals. And I'm sharing this story actually for one reason, because in the world we live in, and I deal with banks all the time and financing, everybody talks about, it appraised for this, or people talk about what their stuff is worth and it appraised for this. Appraisals, I cannot stand appraisals. I think appraisals are just screw everybody up. Appraisers, basically they're living. Obviously it is important. Like, most people, the general public would not have any idea what something is worth. But to me, the value is what someone's willing to pay for it that day. That's why I love the auction. To me, the auction is the purest form of an appraisal. It's like, hey, that's what it sold for. That was worth. Anybody could have hit the button and bought it. If it was worth more than that, it should have sold for more. Of course, that's not totally true, because maybe nobody knew about the auction. There'd be 1,000 arguments against that. But the idea is, the premise is true, that when it's open bid with a bidding system, that was the value, right? Yeah. And so, like, now on this deal in Surrey that these guys that had lent the money, basically now the property was going to court, and the person, like, it sounds like the guy that owned the property that was being foreclosed on found somebody else to appraise it one more time really high, and the jury's still out. I think it's happening in the next week or whatever. But basically the idea was, hey, this thing is going to appraise back again for 4.7 million. Some other appraisal company is going to appraise it for that, and one more time somebody's going to lend money at a very high interest rate.
But that's going to sell for 850.
Yeah, but they can redeem it. The person that's being foreclosed on can literally redeem it until the very moment.
What does that mean, to redeem it?
Redeem it means that they can pay out the person that they owe with all the interest that they owe, and still keep their property. Like, it's fascinating, the process.
Okay, but then they'd have to get the money from
They have to
somewhere
get
else.
the money from somewhere else. And that's what I'm saying. There's another sucker that's looking at a bad appraisal. And my whole point of this is it's like when you do not count on appraisals, don't live your life based on appraisals, know what stuff's worth yourself, especially if you're going into like buying something for a lot of money in businesses and value, like know the value yourself, right?
Do due diligence. I mean, I've been part of a bunch of...
People would consider getting an appraisal due diligence, and I'm saying it's not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, there's different levels of due diligence.
Yeah.
I've seen it when I was at MDT when a private equity got involved or different...
How they appraise the company.
Man, the amount of due diligence is wild. They turn every stone.
It was funny. I talked to your brother about this because he was talking about the most recent acquisition, and I said to him, like, oh, I bought something pretty recently and did zero due diligence. And he's like, yeah, I used to do that too, but I'm wiser now.
Yeah, you get burned.
He got burned a few times, obviously, or just Well, there always is going to be surprises, right? There's always
that's business. There's risk.
There's risk, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was actually saying that to someone who was I was coaching, and he was frustrated by the fact that suppliers weren't doing what they said they were going to be doing, and had some employee frustrations and some different things. And he was just like, it was like massively affecting him. I'm like, this is what you signed up for. And I'm like, when you go, and he's into hunting. I'm like, when you go hunting and you go like scout at your property for a week, and then a couple of weeks later you go hunt and you're sitting in your blind for 5 days and no animals have come by yet. You have a free choice to go find a new spot or to keep sitting there and stuff like that. But that's the game you're playing. It's like, you don't, a lot of these things you don't control, and that makes it fun. If you knew exactly when the animals were coming and everything was going perfectly, everyone would be doing it. And I think that's in business a lot of times as well, right? There's huge elements of it that you don't control, and you need to be okay with that and focus on the things you do control and do the best you can. And I mean, that's why, what is it? I think like less than 5% of businesses make it past 5 years. It's like, it's staggering.
How many people go broke?
Yeah, business is hard, right? Because
business is hard.
You have to deal with in this gray area. That's probably why you're good at it. I love the gray.
Ouch. Call me Gray Baars for a reason.
I like it. I like it. But yeah, he found that helpful as well, though, because he's like, oh yeah, like this is, when you think about it that way and realize, oh, yeah, this is the game of business. There's things I don't control. It's how I respond to it. If someone lies to you, or if there's a bad deal, or
people
XYZ,
hate that though. Don't you find it fascinating how many people need certainty?
Yeah, I mean,
do you experience that a lot?
Yeah, we're all yeah.
I guess because I'm wired so much where like I'm probably more okay, I guess, than the average person of not knowing.
Yeah, when you grow up with very little certainty, then you get used to it too. So.
Yeah, I had a fair amount of certainty growing up. I guess I look at more just from the perspective of like, hey, the future favors the bold, and you're for sure going nowhere if you're not making decisions. So it's like, hey, you got to make this decision. Like, are you willing? And I always think, hey, you play with the very worst case scenario, which I do. Yeah. And like I just think in my case with business, that would be going bankrupt. And then I think of all the amazing people that I know that have went bankrupt or close to it in my life. And I think, hey, like obviously you wouldn't plan for that, but no, I don't think that. I think there'd be character built in that too. And I mean, yeah, ideally that wouldn't happen. That's not fun, obviously. But
good business guys,
amazing people
that have done everything the right way.
Amazing people
have still
go
gone
broke.
Timing
will take you out more than anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a friend that said that one time, and I think like that's kind of stuck with me because I think people plan, and I think perfection is the enemy of progress, right? So I see that a lot with
identity. If your identity is in your business
or being
success,
successful,
then you're gonna, be more.
I think mine probably is. I think it probably is more than I'd want to admit. I think it would be very humiliating and very character building to go broke.
Yeah.
But I guess I've seen people that are just way better than me go broke, and they did it so gracefully, and they speak very honestly about it, and they learn so much through it, and they're definitely better people today for it. And that was, I don't want to say it was God's plan for their life, because I mean, we want to be a little careful with the whole sovereignty thing and blaming God for situations that happen. But I do feel like a lot of things are out of our control. And so you're going to make the best decision at the time, right? Anybody that started something in COVID that got shut down, like that's just out of their control. Things like that, right? Or just there's very extreme situations. I feel like we've hardly talked about cows lately. I feel like I could give a cattle update. Have you bought any beef lately at the store? Is it no? Chicken only? Chicken's even pretty expensive too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but then I got
those chicken farmers are gouging us.
I'm still going.
Can we talk more about how chicken farmers are gouging the Canadian public instead of dairy?
Do they decide as a chicken farmer decide the price of chicken?
Of course they do, and they decide it. The price increases happen way quicker there.
It's not a co-op of some sort.
Well, of course, it's the government board or whatever, but it's the same.
Not the chicken farmer themselves.
Well, they seem to have quite a bit of influence because they always seem to be doing pretty good. I have a bit of a resentment towards chicken farmers, right? Mostly because I'm not one.
Okay.
Can't get in the system.
I mean, beef's just too expensive in general, but I got all that ground beef from you that we're still plugging through.
Are you?
Yeah, it's so good. The burgers are amazing. So
very lean. Disturbingly lean, Marie said.
Okay.
Yeah, we had something the other day where she's like, I had to add some fat. Just couldn't even cook this. I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay. But it's because the cow is pretty skinny, right?
Okay.
Eating pretty thin.
Where do you get these cows? They're just from your farm?
Yeah, the ones. If I'm giving away any meat, it is. Yeah, I'm not giving my first fruits. Sorry about that.
It's one of the 7 that Joseph.
The 7 skinny cows.
The 7 skinny.
Yeah, and there's a lot of skinny cows at my farm. No, that's actually interesting. I don't know if it's because of my psychology, and maybe because I'm relatively hands off on my farm compared to some dairy guys, but like there's no, like it's interesting on farms because you have livestock, right? And when you have livestock, you have dead stock. And then of course, everything in between the dead and the live. And it's like, it's fascinating on a dairy farm. You could go to a farm, especially in past years. I think now like guys farm 100 times better than they probably did 30 years ago. At least that's my perception of being someone that grew up working on farms, where people would like baby cows to the end, like, with animals, it's no different than even your pet. Like you make a decision. Now, some people, they make a decision to put a little harness on their dog and they got a dog with 2 legs at work and there's wheels in the front. I've literally seen it. I've seen a dog walking down the road, just the back legs are working and the fronts are on the cart, right? Like some people do that, but other people would be like, you know what, this dog's had a great life and we're putting our dog, we're going to have a funeral and we're putting the dog down, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing at a dairy farm. Like you have to make a business decision. Obviously you care, you love your animals, you care for your livestock, but you're not doing your cow a favor to keep it alive for an extra 3 weeks past when it should have been put down, right? And those are the conversations I don't think people have enough. And if you grew up in a family where we just keep treating cows and getting the vet out 100 times, pretty soon you have a pen full of cows that don't look great, right? Yeah. At our farm, we don't have that. Let's put it that way. None of that. They're either very healthy or they're very dead, right?
Yeah. You have made at your farm.
We definitely have made it at our farm, but it's not voluntary. It's I'm the judge, jury, and the executioner. It's interesting with cattle, like now, because the beef price is so high. So every farmer now that's like, I'm in dairy and every farmer is now a beef farmer. Like, it's just fascinating. It's hard to describe to the lay person. Yeah. But it's just every cow that's pregnant now that has a black calf and it has a $1,900 baby calf in it, right? So people are making all these business decisions and it's affecting the milk price. It's affecting cow prices, dairy prices, because we have too much milk in our province right now. Like there's a lot of milk, but we have huge plants being built. So actually the dairy farming future is looking pretty good for us. Like we're allegedly getting a lot of growth coming and going to ship more milk next year.
I heard somewhere recently that dairy farmers are like in a bind and they're really tight because just the cost of everything having gone way up and stuff like that too. Yeah. So the future looks bright, but that's also the case?
Yeah, I'd say it's both and. I would say it's way better than it was 2 years ago, right? Okay. Any farmer, not just dairy, but any farmer carries a lot of debt. And so when variable rates, a lot of people were floating when it was 1.5. And so 22, 23 were brutal years, into 24, and they've gotten a lot better in 25 and 26.
But even though interest rates are going to keep going up again now?
They're not going up. Don't believe that. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. Someone will clip this and play it back to me in a year and say, I went broke because you told me to float, but I'm floating. Like, I would do a 1-year fix. I think anybody that's locking in at 5 years now, that's just their character and they want stability. That's fine. Yeah. But from what I see in the economy underneath everything, I would be very shocked if rates don't come down instead. And people would argue that the Strait of Hormuz or whatever being shut is causing oil prices to go up, which is inflationary. And I would say it's deflationary. People will go on less holidays. There will be less money spent because the money will go in the fuel tank and it'll cause problems in our economy.
Like it is wild, the price of fuel.
It's wild. And I saw today on the National Post this morning that Transat and other companies literally are curtailing flights because of the lack of jet fuel and the price of jet fuel. So
the lack of jet fuel?
Yes. Because in certain parts of the world, there's literally there will be lack of fuel. Right. Like we won't have that because we have refineries here and we're blessed to have the oil right in the ground in our other country here beside us, Alberta there. But I always get a kick. I follow a lot of people that are separatists, right? Alberta separatists, right?
I talked to Matt this, it'll have come out last week, Saturday. My interview with Maxime Bernier comes out. Okay. And I asked him about what's going on in Alberta.
How does he feel about it?
He goes, he understands why it's happening. He goes, like
just to disenfranchise people with that's right, frustrated with how the Ottawa's treating them. Yeah. I mean, our whole childhood, I remember reading I think it was the BC Report. And as a kid, maybe you're a bit younger, you didn't read it, but like my parents had it. And it was the Reform Party and there was the Western alienation. It's still happening. It's less talked about now, but that's where that stems from, right? And of course, BC's full of liberal people, so they're less inclined to feel that way. And
I just think governance should be given as much to the people living
locally as possible.
Locally as possible, and with
I would agree
how
with
big
you.
Canada is, and just like where things are headed, I think like having more. I don't know if it's not specific countries, at least like give way more power to the individual provinces, make the federal government as wickedly small as you can. That'd be the dream, but I don't think it's going to happen. Not unless the whole thing collapses first.
Revolution.
He talks about the revolution.
Oh, is it? He thinks it's coming too?
Yeah.
Okay. How does he think of that? Did he articulate what that would look like, or why that would happen?
He talked about a peaceful revolution. I don't know what the peaceful.
That's ideal.
Yeah, it's ideal. Yeah. But he said even in our parliamentary system, you only need 25% of the people, to make a huge change, right? Just in how it works. So he goes, you don't necessarily even need the majority. You just need to educate that many people on it. So it'll be interesting. I mean, the next election's in 2029. Unless a bunch of liberals, I guess, leave Carney's government, which I guess that could happen as well. I mean, you see what David Eby is doing, so with a slim majority.
Okay. I've been listening to podcasts with my kids. We listen to podcasts every day on the way to school. We listen to American History Tellers on Wondery app. The Wondery has a lot of great podcasts.
Real Cool History for Kids is really good too.
Okay. You'll have to drop that show note. I have you to text me that one. And we listen to History Daily. And we just listened to a podcast the other day about Lenin and how Stalin came into power.
Yeah.
And, I started communicating with my kids about the parallels to today, and it was lost on them to some degree, but very interesting how these things happen. And they come out of what people would consider a relatively stable time for the people that are there. And then very quickly somebody, comes into power. Right. And I feel like, I don't know if we're there yet, but I could see that happening in our lifetime.
It reminds me of watching a little documentary yesterday of the Russian soldiers that are being put in the front lines, and they're getting just annihilated.
In Ukraine?
Yeah. Because they the FPV drones and they're just finding these guys and just killing them. But the people, they're called stormers, that are being put on the Russian front lines to go out. They're basically getting put out there if they're like their generals or leaders are like, you screw up in any way, you're on the front line, but like you're dead within days. And they're just getting.
Where are you hearing about this from?
Through they interviewed a whole bunch of Russians that got captured. By the Ukrainians. They got interviewed and evidence that way. And then there were a few other ways that they had got the information. But
I feel like we don't hear anything about the Ukraine-Russia war.
No, it's because you don't hear very much about it. But
how come the UN doesn't deal with it more? How come they're not dealing with it?
I think I'm not sure if they're not dealing with it or not dealing with it. But when you have the Iran war going on, and when you have the Russia-Ukraine war going on for 5+ years now, it doesn't sell, and news organizations are for-profit companies, and people are just bored of it.
Old news.
I want to get Alex on before he moves over to the U.S., the Ukrainian that came over here right before the war started, and get him to share some of the stuff, because he has lots of family and friends that are still there. And
I just thought of another guy that we could.
Okay,
I'll mention
because you talk to him about it, and you kind of hear what's going on, and it's just like it's crazy.
We support Hungry for Life, and they're involved there, and. Chad Martz is there with his family. His wife's Ukrainian, so they're there. And I just think, well, even other people we know have Ukrainians living with them. I just feel like, the general global, there's very little pushback. It's fascinating how obviously, Russia doesn't get to be in the Olympics or whatever, but and some people think they should. But outside of that, where's the outrage, and how come we're still... I don't know.
There's also not much you can do
is
about
it. Just too scary? What are we going to do? Are we going to all of a sudden? Is that the general consensus? Hey, nobody wants to go to war with Russia, or how come we're not? How come we're not getting more involved? How come there's not Canadian and U.S. soldiers in Ukraine fighting?
Well, I think generally the public doesn't want that, right? The public is not okay with Canadians dying for Ukrainian soil.
No,
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's a big reason, and even just the money going there, people aren't okay with.
People are really weird about that, man. That's a really big issue.
I mean, I'm not.
You're not okay with it?
No.
Okay.
Especially not when Canada's falling apart.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, you got to take care of your own stuff first, right? If I can't barely feed my own kids,
it's complicated.
I know.
I still think you got to be generous, even if you struggle. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I just don't think the government sending money is ideal, but I I mean, I got to think about it more. I haven't thought about it that much, and it'd be hard for me to send my son, I guess, to go fight in a war there or do it myself. I guess I think, hey, where do we draw the line of when do we get involved? Like, I mean, we're literally, bombing the crap out of some Middle Eastern country because they might have nuclear weapons, and now we have another superpower that's invading a completely independent country. Like, why is there not more pushback on that? I don't know.
I mean, it's been going on for a long time, but
people would have a strong opinion on this. I'd be curious for feedback on this.
Well, there's also a bunch of stuff like you don't know what's true. Like, a lot of people believe it's a proxy war of the U.S. versus Russia as well, and that it was instigated by, and pushed that way, right? Like, we are being fed one side of the story.
I guess from what I see with people that are literally on the ground recording, like people from Chilliwack that are there, the country's literally getting annihilated by Russians.
It's terrible.
So, full stop. So I'm not saying that money isn't used nefariously. I'm not saying that it's used well if it's sent. I'm not saying how much we should send. I would agree that to some degree, like, how can you run, a $30-40 billion deficit and then send 10% of that to another country and who knows where it all ends up? I just think I would look at it way more as a military, because it would end if the U.S. and other countries got involved. That's what's interesting.
No, the U.S. has been giving most of the weapons that they're getting are from the U.S.
They are, but you would agree that if all of a sudden U.S. military was involved, it would either really blow up or it would be over. One of the two, right? Something would happen. I don't know if we want to think about that.
It's scary to think about. I don't know what happened, but
yes, it could happen eventually.
It would have been over a long time ago if they wouldn't have been providing all the missile systems and that, like all the stuff
they are to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyways, that's a real rabbit trail. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not qualified to comment. There's lots of real smart people that
we're not qualified to comment on anything. We just spent 10 minutes commenting on it.
That is true. But that's with everything I talk about.
Yeah. Okay, what do we got? 44 minutes here.
Are we at 44 minutes already?
40 minutes. Because you blabbed for an
Sorry.
5 minutes before we started. My dad's preaching his last sermon this Sunday. You coming to that?
I guess that'll be over by the time this comes out. Do you have to put a plug in for some hiring a minute?
I am looking for a heavy-duty mechanic, service, just a regular mechanic in Abbotsford. Always looking for electricians, and still got some a welder in Alberta. Someone that just wants to work for 4 months until they go back to school again.
Yeah.
So someone in Alberta needs a good welder for a while. And then who else was there? And administrative purchasing lady here locally.
She's looking for work.
Yeah. Pretty qualified though.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Did you want to talk about women's makeup?
Yeah, I did. What was that? What was the note here? This is the note Gary put into our little shared chat here. Women's makeup, especially for weddings.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this
How
is
do you
going to
feel
be good.
about...
We're going to get Matt Shantz' wife after us again.
Or somebody. So all the women. Anyways, women are allowed to come as guests in the podcast. They never offer themselves up for the role, so therefore we comment on it without their opinion. That's fine. How do you feel about women and the amount of makeup they wear? Does your wife wear makeup?
She does not wear makeup, no.
None?
No.
Ever?
Never.
Does she feel she needs to?
No.
Obviously not.
No, she never does.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel she should wear makeup?
No.
Do you care if she does?
No. If she does...
Oh, wow.
If she does, it has to be somewhat natural. I've seen it before, and I'll pick it on someone like Tim.
If she looks like a mannequin, mannequin, you're done.
Yeah, I get run away. It's terrifying.
I get a real kick. I find it very fascinating. Anyways,
why is this in here? What made you think of it?
Well, because there's people that I know that are getting married. We've got 3 or 4 wedding invites hanging on our calendar at home, and then it came up in conversation. We have a lot of young guys over at our house all the time eating, right?
Oh yeah,
the odd woman, but mostly young guys spend a lot of time at our house of varying degrees. And they were just talking about, we got to go do a practice makeup session. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like a practice run for putting makeup on for a wedding? Yeah, this is a thing, right? And then they're saying how much it costs, and I'm like, okay,
how much does it cost?
Unless you're
how much does it cost? Did they say?
Oh, no, the hundreds of dollars. Makeup's, it's expensive,
and
right? It's a whole big production.
What do you mean practice?
Well, just so you can get an idea, hey, is there too much cake on here, or do we need to dial her back, right? How's this going to look on the photos? It was just bizarre to me. I guess whatever. And then anyways, I know I'm going to get in trouble, right? I'll start getting eviscerated, but I'm just guys, just knock it off. Just, you're created the way you are. You're beautiful. Just stop, please.
Well, especially if
it's a free country. You can do whatever the heck you want. I don't care, but it's just you don't need to. It's somebody created a culture of this is how people need to look, and now they decided that's normal. And
you're putting on a mask.
No pun intended.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's maybe even not fair because people would say, everybody would put themselves in the moderate camp, right? Nobody's going to come up and say,
I don't care if people wear makeup, but
I don't care either. It sounds like I do.
When it gets caked on, it's not my preference. I'm like,
natural.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just found it really fascinating that you would do a trial run and then like you have these photos for the next 30 years and like you got, I guess that's what's considered beautiful. So I'm not qualified to comment.
That's probably what Leah and Rebecca did with Jacob.
No, they did a full Houdini. Like that was a real mask, right? That was like
you didn't find out the next morning.
Paper
like,
bag or
a
something.
lot of makeup or something like really dark outside or what?
Yeah, that was full. You were really getting bamboozled. Yeah, you had to do more than a trial run to get that one right. You had to do a couple trial runs.
Goodness.
Yeah. Anyways, what's the moral of that conversation?
I don't think there is much moral.
Okay. Anyways, just save your money.
Yeah.
Can hardly end on that, but I feel we have to. We got to end. I got a meeting.
Okay.
What time is it?
If you guys got questions or comments, send them in. You can go to my website, send them in.
There's probably women that listen to this that sell makeup for a living. Let's get one of those people on there. Let's hear about the redemptive qualities of putting an insane amount of makeup on your face. I'm just digging deeper, right? I feel like I'm digging deeper.
Or give us the equivalent for what would be the equivalent?
Yeah,
for guys?
What would be the equivalent for me? I've got 1,000 things I hide behind.
Big truck.
Lots of people would say that I need to put makeup on. Get a face for radio, Baars. Uglier than a horse's ass. Get some makeup. I don't know.
People said I should get surgery on my nose.
Yeah, hard to rein the nose back in.
Yeah, I think I got to smoke in the shower, right? So it's fine.
Yeah. I got a new billboard coming for the highway because my billboard crapped out. I'm not a big fan of realtors that have a picture from 20 years ago, and mine's 5 years old already. So I got new headshots taken. Yeah.
I had someone say to me recently, "Oh, is that Gary? Is that the guy on the highway? He looks way fatter there."
Yeah, I'm still pretty fit. Yeah, it is interesting. The new one will be interesting to see what people's perception is. I mean, you never look at yourself like, I think I look pretty ridiculous in my new pictures. But
who owns the billboard? Who's laughing?
I rent it from a guy from a previous farmer, that I used to.
Okay, so it's like just a private billboard. It's not through Pattison or whatever.
No. Most of the billboards I have, actually, I've rented from a company like Pattison, but lately they've all been on guys that have exemptions because it's against the law, right, to have a billboard. Like you can't build a billboard on your farmland along Highway 1. It's against the law. Oh, so you will get shut down. Those were exempted. Like those have been there for like 50, 60, 40, 50 years.
Oh, that way.
A long time.
Oh, okay.
They're grandfathered in.
Okay.
If those things go down, there's nobody's putting a new one up.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to keep protecting the sign, right? But anyways.
So what are you going to put on there? Just more Baars real estate? More
Baars, yeah. Or maybe, Baars for mayor or Baars for city council. Or I let somebody else do it. I'm not good at that kind of stuff.
Baars for mayor.
Yeah. I just had somebody text me this morning. I won't run for mayor. So
Heather said I should get into it. I'm like,
why wouldn't you? It'd be very interesting to see how your black and white self would do there. It'd be interesting to hear how you'd.
I just think about even like she said, I think it was you said in last week's recording with her that some of the school board meetings were like 5 hours or something else like that. Like I can't, like I go insane. Yeah,
you'd have to make sure you were the board chair very quickly so you could just be like, meeting adjourned.
Let's go. Let's get through these issues.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of important stuff to discuss. People do like meetings for the sake of meetings, and people love talking. So,
yeah, the bureaucracy would really get me down. Like, what I mean by that is like how long things take to get done.
I guess my question you would be, you're super opinionated about how things should be. Why would you not run and try and make a difference? Like, you have the margin. Like, why would you not run for city council? You have strong opinions on everything.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even know where to start. Like, you need a team, right? Like,
no, you just run for city council. Like, I'll help you. Totally. I'd love to see how you would do there. Like, it'd be a science experiment.
Just for Garrett entertainment purposes.
Everybody's. I mean,
I'm
it's very easy in this spot behind a microphone to beak off about a lot of things. And the minute you're in the trenches and you actually have to make the decision and feel the heat from every angle, it's a lot harder. Yeah. I found that anytime
I'm open to it.
Okay, well, maybe somebody will listen to this and want to be your campaign manager, and maybe there'll be somebody that'll. You don't need a huge amount of money, but it definitely does cost some money. So you would need to probably raise some money. But I think you'd be surprised how many people would. When I ran, I was very young. I was 25. It was the year I met Marie. It was in 2008 in Chilliwack, and I didn't know anything.
Yeah,
and still don't know much, but I definitely knew way less.
Did you almost get in or not?
I did pretty well. You can look at the results. 2008, 2000, like I did reasonably well for a 25-year-old. Yeah. Like,
did you expect to win?
I was pretty arrogant. I definitely thought there was a chance. And like I say, I didn't like get crushed. Like of all the people some of the people had ran 4 times that I ran against and were 45 years old. So like, I think that if you run now, and that's why I'm really opposed to the municipal parties, like getting into partisan politics at municipal level. It happens in Langley and Surrey and Vancouver. I just think let's just keep our city where you're just running on the character of the person and what they stand for, and don't try pigeonhole them into a liberal camp or a conservative camp. Maybe they are more liberal in some areas, but they're do a lot of great things. Like, I don't know. I just hate that idea of like being partisan at City Hall. Yeah. And so I feel like you look at the councillors we have now, are they perfect? Of course not. But most of them really want the best for the city. They make I struggle with like very basic things like roads being made too narrow. Like I would literally run this time on like, can we please get out a tape? Can we make every city councillor and staff member grab a dually truck with a cattle trailer behind it and have to drive down.
What new roads are they building that are
Night by Canucks? It's a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who designed that, but whoever did just does.
Is that it? And is that actually a
city
road?
They literally did it. They did it on a computer. I can assure you that. They did not do it in real life. Like,
or is that a reserve road? There. Isn't it on the
No, it's city. Cities are in charge of those roads. Night road is a city road. It's right in front of Canucks. Drive down there. Wells, Evans. Anyways, it just drives me insane.
I do hate how the new developments that are being put in everywhere, because they're all one development, the developer gets to choose the width of the road. And so like up on Promontory or different areas where like there's a huge area they develop and then it's not actually a city road.
The city would have the say. No.
Yeah, really?
Even in a Bearland strata, the city would still dictate exactly what you do to the millimeter on a road. Okay. And they come out and measure it. And if you did it wrong, they make you rip out your sidewalk and they make you put certain aprons in. The thing is, they do it in a sense of like, even now, if you go to a new development and you park in a parking lot, how hard is it? You basically can't park a one-ton truck. That's what's so refreshing about going to Costco, right? Because Costco has those extra wide parking spots. Like that should be mandatory, that every parking lot is like a Costco parking lot. Anyways, that's just me going on a big tangent.
That's what you should run.
People will definitely support this rant a lot more than the makeup one. That is for sure. Have a great week, guys.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.